Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the A2B podcast, your number one source for military entrepreneurship and entertainment. Guys, we are back another week with another amazing guest. Today, unfortunately, Barry's not with us. You guys know, you guys can leave a comment over here. Why do you think Barry's not with us today? I think he took a trip to MCRD Paris Island just to be in awe of what it means to be a real Marine. Okay, guys? We're back to another episode this week. Of course, like always, and like all your episodes, this episode is brought to you guys by Ramos Capital and Barry Bull Fitness, No Bull Fitness. Okay. We have another week, and this is going to be interesting whenever it comes to entrepreneurship. We have a self-made veteran entrepreneur that I've been seeing online, over this past few months, and from what I see, he's killing it. So I want to ask him, what does he think it's led him to his success? Now, when you guys see this guy, okay, this is the epitome of what it means to be Hispanic, okay? Like once you guys see this guy in camera, you guys will be like, okay, this guy's definitely Mexican, things you once you see him, okay? Well, his name is Roberto Martinez, the all clear dude. What's up, Rob? How you doing, brother?
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Oh, surprising us with the Spanish and everything. Let's go. You see, so let us know in the comments on a scale of 1 to 10 how Hispanic does he look, okay? And where do you think he get his Hispanicness from? So, Rob, welcome to the A2B podcast, brother.
Appreciate you for having me, man.
Brother, obviously we had the podcast scheduled for, I think it was last month. There was a couple of last minute, things that we had to reschedule, but you're finally here, brother. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah.
And spending some time with me today, okay? Yeah. I think it's going to be a really entertaining podcast because there's a lot of transitioning service members or service members that are looking to start a business while they are still in the military.
Yeah.
And you're doing it, man. And from what it seems like, you're actually killing it.
I appreciate that.
So what brought you onto the A2B podcast?
Yeah, like you said, seeing us the last few months on social media, I think we've picked up some momentum now. We just crossed 10K.
Nice,
which is a milestone that I have yet to acknowledge on social media, just because I want to do the acknowledgement, the announcement, if you will, with like a really cool giveaway, a really cool raffle. So
nice.
Can't really speak on behalf of that yet. We got some things in the work, but
okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this platform. I saw it growing. I like what you guys are doing. Another veteran podcast that I could use to all clear gears advantage to get out the mission that we're doing, what we're doing on Pendleton and 29 Palms, and also the ability to talk more about the entrepreneurship.
Okay, awesome, man. And feel free to promote away on the podcast, man, because when Barry and I started this, we wanted to get businesses like yours recognized, and bring more people to your channels and stuff, man.
That.
Now, before we get started on the all clear stuff, right? Let's get started with who is Rob Martinez.
Yeah, so I'm Spaniard.
Oh, okay. He gave it away, guys. He gave it away.
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I only know that through 23andMe. So
got you.
I thought I was Mexican for a good portion of my life.
Got you.
I'm 30 years old at this time.
Okay, nice.
I'm married. I have a beautiful wife that I met in Chula Vista at a country concert. Shout out to Luke Bryan, good buddy of mine. No, I'm just playing. I hope he sees this though. I got 3 kids now. My oldest is 6. He's in boxing and jiu-jitsu. We started doing jiu-jitsu together. My daughter, we were actually on a daddy-daughter date this morning.
Oh, nice.
And she's 3.5. She'll be 4 in May. And then my youngest is Mason, and 10 months.
So. Okay, so let me ask you this. Whenever you had your kids, did you had any kids while you were inside of the Marine Corps, or were you already out?
No, I was already out.
Okay, so you were already out. So you've been out for a while then.
Yeah, I've been out since 2017.
Okay, and when did you join the Marine Corps?
2013.
So you did...
Right out of high school.
Okay, so you did what, 4 years?
Yeah, 4 in the Marine Corps, 3 in the Guard.
Oh, okay. So you did 2017 to 2020 in the Guard?
No, yeah, it was like 2017. Yeah, 2017 to 2020.
Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that
Yeah.
because that's something that a lot of Marines, as a matter of fact, me, when I was transitioning out of the military, that's something that I consider because they're very persuasive.
Yes, they are.
They're very persuasive. And, I had a tough decision that we can talk more about. I don't think I've talked about it in the podcast, but we can definitely talk more about that. Now, you joined out of where?
Out of RSS Orlando.
So you're
I'm
originally
sorry,
from Florida.
RSS Kissimmee.
Kissimmee,
Yeah,
so you're from
yeah.
Florida.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kissimmee, Florida.
Okay. So, and you decided to actually stay out here in California?
Yeah, I met the love of my life out here.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah, man.
so she, was that part of the conversation? Like, did you guys ever tell her, like, hey, well, how about we go to Florida? It's cheaper over there.
Ooh, yeah. So it was part of the conversation, and she was just not really about the humidity. To be frank, I mean, and then her entire family's here. My entire family's on the East Coast.
Gotcha.
I chose when the recruiter gave me an option: East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah.
I wanted to see what the West Coast was like.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we when I got out, I actually a couple months later after getting out, I went to pursue law enforcement in Florida. But having our first kid brought me back to California to take care of my family.
So
yeah.
let's talk a little bit more about your career, right? So you obviously from Florida.
Yep.
How was growing up over there? Like, what led you to the decision of becoming a United States Marine and not any other military branch?
So, so I grew up in not crystal clear waters of Florida. It was kind of like swampland country. If you know anything about Kissimmee, we're about 45 minutes south of Orlando, like the good old boys town. I mean, we had a flashing yellow light, on our road before we took a right into a new development where we were one of the few houses. You go back home now and it's just crazy populated. But what made me want to join the Corps? I had an uncle that I really looked up to on my mom's side through marriage, and it's crazy because throughout his enlistment, I followed in almost his exact same footsteps. And he became Motor T, and even though, and I'm sure we'll talk on this more, I became Motor T.
Oh, Motor T. He's the second guy back to back that we have Motor T.
Wow.
Oh shit. Okay.
I just joined with the idea of, I want the challenge. If it's hard, I want it. That sounds terrible, but
No. It sounds like the recruiter did his job.
Yeah,
because
no.
I'm pretty sure he painted this mental picture of how you can achieve that while in the military. Do you remember your recruiter's name?
Yeah, Sergeant Builes.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with him.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Straight up.
Let's talk about it. What's up?
So when I joined, I wanted to, like I said, I wanted that challenge. I joined for the camaraderie. I joined for the discipline that I still lack. I joined for the leadership opportunities.
Okay.
And most importantly, at that time, at 17, 18 years old, I thought that with my mentality, if I join, then that's one less friend or one less family member that would have to take my spot. And when I was told about the job choices, I went into my senior year with a 1.3 GPA.
That's not very high.
It's not very good. I don't think it has anything to do with being Spaniard. So as soon as I moved, we're jumping around a little bit, but as soon as I moved back to Florida to live with my dad to finish out senior year, from Missouri, which side tangent, I had to get my stuff together. And my dad said, either you're going to join the military, I know you've been talking about the Marines, or you're going to get a job and you're going to pay rent and that whole this or that kind of thing. And so as soon as I moved there, I think it was within the first week, I signed up and joined the DEPT program. And
so you didn't look at any other branches?
No. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I walked in, that there was like the Navy on the right, the Marine Corps on the far right, the Air Force and the Army. I was like, straight to the Marine Corps. I mean, I looked in the offices and
Mm-hmm.
a couple people looked up from their desk, but it wasn't long enough for them to, hey, come in here. And I walked straight in, saw the giant red pull-up bar and the MARSOC poster in the back, and I got fired up. I was
Okay.
excited, yeah.
Okay, so Marine Corps all the way. You joined because of the camaraderie. You joined because of the challenge that you were going to receive. What did you score on the ASVAB? Do you remember? Well, I mean, with a 1.3,
Yeah.
kind of explains
Yeah.
why you went
Yeah.
Martinez.
Let's not get the expectations too high here. I think my initial score was like a 58. Yeah, nothing crazy. My highest score.
58 is good. What you talking
Oh, is
about?
it?
Yeah, 58 is good.
Well, my highest score was the technical, like the mechanical
Yeah.
inclination side
Yeah.
of things. But yeah, at that time, I mean, I wasn't even like a good test taker. I don't know.
I mean,
if
you
it's the
scored
ADD.
good though.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you scored good. Yeah, that. So I talk about it frequently here on the podcast, but for 49 to 31, that's a Bravo, and for from 50 to 99, it's Alphas. And the Marine Corps, in order for you to be a successful recruiter, you need to maintain at the very least a 72% Alpha Bravo split. What that means is
nice.
that the 72% of the applicants that you recruit have to score 50 or more. So in other words, for every 2 alphas that you recruit, you can recruit 1 Bravo. So that's why I'm saying like that's good, you know. So you were in the higher ratio of it of things. Okay. Now, whenever it came to your job, did you just pick whatever job, or you was like, oh, you know what, motor T sounds fun?
No, and that's where the love-hate relationship comes in, because my recruiter was incredible. Like you could tell he had the best intentions, but you know, you guys have standards to meet, quotas to meet, and you know, when I had gone into the office, I wanted to be an 03. I wanted to be an 11. Looking back, I would have loved to have been a 31 machine gunner.
Yeah.
And you know, that was kind of my mindset all the way up until I finally graduated, which I ended up graduating with a 2.3. My teachers were, you know, like astonished. You know, I think I took 9 classes my senior year, and which most people take half of that because they're just riding it out.
Yeah.
And I got to the recruiting station, and you know, I had waited 11 months in the DEPT program, and you know, I was ready to get out of there, move on with everything, and get to boot camp. And I was told like, hey bro, like you got 3 options. And I was like, 3 options? Like what happened to the 03 field? And they're like, it's closed for like the next 11 months. And I was like, I would have to wait another year.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You can't do what?
You can only be in the delayed entry program for 13 months.
Oh, wow.
So if you were already 11 months because you joined, you know,
right.
in senior, as soon as you became a senior,
Yeah.
right? Well, then that means that you only had another 2 months, and they couldn't fit your job. I find it hard to believe though that during those 11 months they couldn't secure you an 03 job.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I mean, that's the part where it's like there's just that lack of understanding, you know.
Well, I'll take that shout out back, R&B. You're a freaking dirtbag.
Get him. And so my 3 options were aviation mechanic, motor T, or the red patchers.
Yeah. Manly support.
Yeah. And I would go on later on to find out that those guys all don't have AIDS. So that's good. It's good news.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good news.
Yeah.
Well, fuck them. They still got AIDS.
And
So wait, time out. Let's go ahead and take time out. Okay, so you had aviation mechanic,
yeah.
motor T, and landing support specialist.
Yep.
Why in the hell would you not pick aviation mechanic?
There was that mechanic aspect to it.
Okay.
And before I joined, I knew how to change a tire. And that was just, you know, my stepdad had taught me that.
Okay.
In case my mom broke down on the side of the road. He's like, I'll be damned if you're going to be waiting for a tow truck or something else. Like, not my son. And so I knew how to change a tire. And I at the time, like, I wasn't like work with my hands kind of person. I've done a lot of labor through punishment growing up.
Yeah.
I wasn't about that life. I wanted to mess with weapons and take out bad dudes. Like that's what I wanted to do. That's what I joined. So I said, which one deploys? And he goes, Motor T. And I was like, Motor T. Okay, is that, what are they, like, they drive, right? And he goes, yeah, they drive the vehicles, they work on the vehicles. I'm like, okay, awesome. And not to jump ahead, but it wasn't until MCT, when we were all sitting down outside of the hooches, where they were like, all right, you guys over here are operators, you guys over here are mechanics. And I was like, I actually walked up to my instructor and I was like, hey, you said I'm a mechanic? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, at that point, I knew.
You fucked up.
Yeah. And I was just like, no way, dude. And that's where it
Dude,
started.
the same shit that happened to you is the same shit that happened to me. Dude, I was sitting down, like a good fucking little fucking PFC.
Tuck your thumbs in.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was like with a little fucking PFC. And then I thought I was going to be a tanker. My recruiter told me I was going to be a tanker because I chose combat support option. And you can either be, I think it's AAVs, tanker at that time. Tanks don't exist anymore. 0811, and I think that's it. And 0811 is artillery. So I was like, oh, man, all throughout MCT, I was like, I'm going to be a tanker. Bro, as soon as I hear my instructor say, like, 0811, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, I was like, dude, I'm from Puerto Rico. I didn't even know where fucking Oklahoma was on the map.
Right.
Where am I going? And I was like, oh. That's the only thing my fucking instructor said. I was like, okay, I get to Oklahoma in the middle of a fucking blizzard. And mind you, I'm from Puerto Rico. It doesn't snow in Puerto Rico.
Tropical over there, right?
Yeah. Like we call Florida, municipality number 80. Okay. Yeah, because Florida's all Puerto Ricans, right? Because Puerto Ricans love the weather there too.
Especially Orlando now.
Yeah, in Orlando area and all that stuff. Dude, so I get to Oklahoma, dog, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what the... I never seen snow. So I liked snow for like the first 5 minutes.
Sure.
And then after that, I was like, man, fuck this place. I've never been more depressed than Fort Sill, Oklahoma. So I'm sorry for everybody that gets to live in Oklahoma, and I'm definitely sorry for anybody that gets stationed in Oklahoma. That place fucking sucks. Fort Sill, Oklahoma, dude, I'm telling you, man, like that is where dreams go to fucking die.
It's not 29 Palms?
No. Actually, 29 Palms is not really that bad. Because if you got to think about it, right? 29 Palms in itself sucks. Mm-hmm. Okay? And actually, I take that back. It only sucks there if you go for like a field op, right? Because you're only there in Camp Wilson. Main side is not really even that bad if you think about it.
Right.
And then you have Vegas, like 2.5 hours away.
Yeah.
You got San Diego, like 3.5 hours away. Mm-hmm. So, what's in Oklahoma? Oklahoma City?
Good old country boys.
Yeah, dude. Like it's like blizzards, tornadoes.
Tornado Alley, yeah. Huh?
Yeah, blaze. No. Yeah, there's tornadoes there.
Oh.
There's tornadoes there. Like, dude, I'm telling you, dude, it was not a fun time. But let's get back to the story because I get PTSD from that shit. I actually claimed this shit on my VA claim.
For being from Oklahoma.
Yeah, for being in Oklahoma. They gave me, I think it was like 130% for I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But going back to it, okay, so you went to MCT. They told you were going to be, looking back at it now, if you knew that you were going to be a motor team mechanic, would you chosen to go aviation mechanic, or would you, knowing what you know now, not looking back at it, but knowing what you know now, would you still chosen motor T?
Yeah,
really?
I would have. Yeah, because I was able to skate as a motor T mechanic, and if you were in my platoon, I was doing anything but trying to work on trucks.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay, but time out. What was your unit?
1-7 and 29 Palms.
That's a good thing about being motor T in an infantry unit.
Yeah.
Them motherfuckers walk everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. That's one of the things that my dad told me. My dad's been in the military for 37 years.
Wow. Is he still in?
Believe it or not, he's still in.
Oh wow.
Motherfucker's still in. He saw me come in. He saw me freaking get out, and he's a commander in the Navy. So he started 16 years in the Marine Corps, did 16 years in the Marine Corps as a gun. He got out, got commissioned as a lieutenant junior grade in the Navy through a program that they have for civil engineering. He's a civil engineer. And then he commissioned in the Navy, and then now he's been in the Navy for like 20-something years.
Man, that's incredible.
Yeah, that's crazy. I know.
Wow.
So, but the reason why I mentioned that is because, dude, my dad told me when I was enlisted, because I was just like you, right? Like a dumbass high school kid.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we both were the dumbass high school kid. Because, dude, I like to party too. I don't know if you like to party, but I like to party a lot. And when I was in high school. So I went ahead and I was like, Dad, I want to be infantry. My dad told me, okay. Do you like walking? It's like, yeah, I don't mind walking. Do you like walking with 80 pounds worth of shit on your back?
Right.
While you're getting shot. It's like, oh, well, yeah, that doesn't sound very fun at all. And that's what I chose, combat support and not infantry. Which, looking back at it, I thank him. I don't think I would have made it in the infantry. I didn't make it in artillery either. That's why I lab moved.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
How long until you could have lab moved?
4 years. I lab moved after my first 4 years. And it's not that I didn't make it. Like, I made it sound worse than what it really was. Sure. That just really wasn't my type, dude. Like, I was a scrawny ass fucking 125-pound kid.
Wow.
Those rounds were, weigh like 110 pounds, Right. Like my buddies were carrying 2 rounds while I could barely struggle to carry 1, So that's why, like, artillery really wasn't my cup of tea.
Gotcha.
But yeah, dude, like whenever it came to the infantry side, I my respect to you that you want to be infantry. I mean, you're tall, so I think you would have done great in the infantry.
I appreciate that.
Now, talk to me a little bit more about MOS school. How was that experience for you?
That was it was very challenging. Yeah, being a mechanic for me, even though that's the field that I scored the highest in, it was challenging because you were fed so much knowledge in those 3 months. And I'm pretty sure I was there for like 3 months waiting to even pick up class.
Yeah.
So just trying to stay out of trouble. And this is North Carolina where all those clubs were, and I wasn't even 21 yet. So, my roommates were 21 or just about to be 21. And so, the schoolhouse itself was difficult. It was very challenging. Yeah.
Yeah. The crazy part is we had Derek. I don't know if you've seen Derek. He's also a Motor T operator. He's not a Motor T mechanic. He was a Motor T operator. He was telling me, that the school, it's great to see different perspectives whenever it comes to the schoolhouse.
Sure.
Because he said that, it was great that you get to learn, how capable the 7-ton is.
Right.
And then you're saying like, man, it's challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
you got to learn all of it. You got to learn their 7-ton, the Humvee. What else?
Yeah, so we learned through the Oshkosh engines and all that stuff through the 7 tons, the Humvees. It was a second. I ended up becoming a second echelon shop, which is all the troubleshooting.
Yeah.
But you learn everything from like troubleshooting wiring, like wires, wrenching through the engine bay, just kind of how things worked, and yeah.
Okay.
I borrowed answers a lot on tests.
So there you are, Rob Martinez, about to graduate. It was hard, and then all of a sudden, you already out of MCT. You already like, man, this is not what I really wanted. Blah blah whatever. And then next thing you know, they're calling your name out for 29 Palms, California. What was your first expectation when you heard that?
I was it was more so of me just not knowing and everyone around me being like, oh, and I was like, is that good? It's California, let's go. I was just like, they're like, yeah, dude, it's a nice beach out there just without the water. And I was like, oh, perfect. They're like, have you ever heard of Lake Bandini? And I was like, it sounds cool, like water skiing, I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, no, I found out really quick when that plane landed in 29 Palms and had to change into my alphas. It was hot.
So what time you got there? What time of the year?
It had to have been, I think it was summer because they were, my unit was 2 months into the Afghanistan deployment in 2014. So yeah, I want to say July.
Okay, and your unit was deployed.
Yeah.
So you got an infantry unit that was deployed. How was that experience? Like you welcomed them with open arms, like, "Hi guys."
So that was a a very interesting welcome.
Okay.
When I got there, you know how the barracks are. It's like a U shape,
Uh-huh.
in the basketball courts in the middle, the smoke pits. And I get there and I basically had to check in and guys walking me all around the CP, me and like one other dude. And, I'm like, where is everybody? He goes, oh, bro, like your unit's deployed. And I'm like, oh, man, like, that's why I joined. And they're like, yeah, but don't worry, you ain't going. And I'm like, what? It's like they're 2 months in. You said, yeah, and they can't still send me. And they're like, they won't do that. Like,
Yeah,
you're a
they won't.
boot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. All right. So I found out about RBE, and I still don't know what it stands for.
Remain behind element.
Come on, man. That's why we're. That's why
You know. Yeah.
And that's where yes, Lance Corporal.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
yes, Corporal.
Yeah.
And then I
Were they more T or were they
Nah.
infantry?
Yeah, it was everybody that was broken,
Yeah.
about to be separated, getting
okay.
out,
Okay.
and just no hope. A lot of that RB element was like no hope left, and so it was a flip flop scenario because those 4 or 5 months that I spent RBE, I was like, I quickly grew comfortable with where I was, complacent, if you will.
Yeah.
I was growing my hair out. Staff NCOs, we were bros. Corporals, lance corporals, like no one cared. And so, and it wasn't until the last month before my unit got there where they sent me to a third shop, which is where I would then go on to learn how to like rewire an entire MRAP, like a body wiring harness from front to back. We did that twice. Once they tried to have me do it on my own, and I'm like, look, do you want this thing to catch on fire? Then have me do it. Otherwise, like, you might want to keep that guy with me. And so I'll just go straight into it. My unit gets back, and those guys were like bloodhounds. Like, they were coming for me. It was at that time, it would go on to be my seniors were there, and they had already had an Afghanistan deployment prior. And so they had
Those were like the super seasoned fucking guys.
Yeah. And at the schoolhouse, I got engaged. So when I got back, I had an engagement. I bought a motorcycle. I had a tattoo. My hair was long. And these guys were showing up, and I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, look, check this out. Your head's going to be buzzed, like shaved. Like, go ahead. I have a razor right now if you want to do it. But you got to be to the shop in 1 hour. So however you decide to do that, we'll see you at the shop. And if you come and it's not done, stand the fuck by. And so, I quickly found out. And my gunny at the time, he showed up and he just kind of looked at me and he was just kind of in awe. He was just like, I cannot believe this. Like the guys that would show up prior, don't go straight into RBE. I just think that's terrible.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I don't think anybody should go straight into
I don't know who the fuck would put a brand new PFC in RBE, to be honest with you. Unsupervised. Technically unsupervised.
Yeah.
Because everyone that stayed behind for the deployment stayed behind for a purpose that like you said, they're getting out, they have medical appointments, like things of that nature.
Yeah.
So they're caring about themselves. They're not really caring about mentoring a 100%. PFC 100%. Into setting them up for success for the future. So don't do that. That's a horrible thing to do.
Yeah.
And so whatever. So what was the highest rank in RBE?
I think it's staff sergeant. And that was just the guy that was like the platoon sergeant for that.
And I'm guessing that was like PT on your own type deal.
Yep. Well, those guys couldn't PT. The majority of them.
So that's what I'm saying. So PT on your own, like you would have to.
Right. And there was a pool. There was a pool down the way. I enjoyed swimming, so I'd go and swim every once in a while. But dude, I hit the PX in my first couple of days of being there, I want to note something too, because this helped kind of shape a perspective for me.
Yeah.
I went to the PX. You know, you're not allowed to get a car yet.
Yeah.
And had a ton of things. You know, a ton of groceries, water. You know, razor water, that stuff.
Oh,
It really does cut through a thirst. Sponsored by. I'm on my way walking back all the way to the barracks, 1403. And this guy in a pickup truck stops beside me and he goes, "Hey, man." And I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like, I'm like searching for rank. "What's going on?" And he goes, "Not much." He goes, "You good? Where are you going?" And I'm like, "I'm just headed to the barracks." And he goes, "Hop in, I'll give you a ride." And I was like, "I'm good. I think I can. He goes, "Dude, hop in. I'll give you a ride." And so clearly he could tell I was new, you know. You know, he mentioned to me that day, at that moment, he was like, "You know, it's not about how much you can carry. Like you can never, it's not about how much weight you can carry. You're never too good for a helping hand type of thing." And I wouldn't even think about that for years to come.
Yeah.
To where it's like, man, you know, dealing with self-doubt, depression, you know, self-worth issues. Like, I joined for this and now look where I'm at. We're doing 16, 17-hour days at the shop and then doing it the next day. Hey guys, if you can get through, if you can skip chow today, we'll get off early. Not getting off early. Just a ton of unmet promises throughout my entire career.
Yeah.
And so that really stuck with me. And I've mentioned that on a previous podcast. My hopes is that guy sees that and he knows that he did leave an impression on me.
That's awesome, man. That's great. It's always the small details, man,
100%.
that you remember the most. So you get to your unit. Obviously, like within the first day, they're already telling you, you better fucking fix yourself. You better fix your hair. And how was it, like, you meeting your real NCOs? How were they?
It was just I came from a family of like not really taking shit. And like even to the point where it's like if we're looking at you're a stranger and we're looking at each other for longer than 3 seconds, at that point it's like, are we good? You know, it's like
okay.
And so there was just instant disrespect, and it's like, who am I? You know, I quickly found out I don't rate. But you know, there's a level of like just being a human being to like, hey man, like let's just, you know, you treat me this way and I'll treat you this way. But it was, fuck you, boot. The stairwell needs to be cleaned. You're going to sweep that. Then you're going to mop it. And then guess what? You're going to do second deck. And then you're going to do first deck. I don't care that they're not a part of ours. You're going to do it anyways. You know, like, hey, how's your room?
That's
look?
typical infantry, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's typical infantry.
100%.
And you were Motor T. I don't think you even got the brunt of it. Because your NCOs were Motor T NCOs. They weren't infantry NCOs.
Put it this way. The infantry came back with Motor T. I would hear around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 9 lines being screamed in the rooms. And I would like look over the balcony and I'd see a guy with flashlights, like strobing flashlights. And he's like, just, you know, Kazovac situation. And he's like just yelling out.
Damn,
they'd wake these guys up in the middle of the night and they're like, this is what it's going to be like. You know, you got to be ready. And you know,
did any NCOs ever laid hands on you because of the disrespect? Because I'm guessing from what you're telling me, right? It's like, okay, at this time, let's maybe you said a baseline. At this time, you're a PFC or you're a Lance Corporal? Because remember, like 7 months passed, right?
Yeah.
So did you get promoted to Lance Corporal?
No, I was not a Lance yet.
So you were a PFC?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were a PFC, and then there was other Lance Corporals. How long did it take you to really realize, like, okay, bitch, like, you're a Lance Corporal, dog. Like, shut the fuck up.
There just wasn't that.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Because how it worked is, like, in the infantry over there is, like, you'd walk past the duty hut, and the guy sitting on duty is a Lance Corporal, but he's got 3-4 rows. And you're like...
Yeah, back then, that was very common.
Yeah, and it's like, I've seen a corporal standing at parade rest for a Lance Corporal.
Okay.
And it's just, at that point, it's like, you know what this person has.
Yeah.
You know, it's a respect thing.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about. I get that, dude.
Sure.
Right? But were there any dudes that just trying to get a one up just because they knew
rank?
that they could? Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
That was almost my entire shop, my entire time in.
Okay.
Yeah,
So how was how did you deal you with your background, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that, well, based on what you told me, it's like, dude, are we good? We good?
Yeah.
You just want to take it outside or what? Because in the infantry, that shit is. I'm not saying it's right, but it's common. Did any of those situations happen while you were in?
Right. Unfortunately, a lot of the times it resulted to paperwork. And so my stack of paperwork.
Wow,
my stack of
really?
paperwork was probably like that thick.
I think you know why I think it was. I think it's because cause it always happens, dude. It's like you get a guy with your build, right? And then all of a sudden, no, dude, you're at least you're tall. How much are you weighing right now?
205. I'm 6 foot.
Okay, so you're 6 foot 205. I'm guessing that you were in good shape back then as well.
That was pretty good.
So let's say you were 190, but more lean.
Sure.
Let's say.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to mess with a 190 fucking lean dude. Specifically Motor T. You met one of this, right? Either they're all Martinez. So you met that qualification right off the bat, right? Martinez was another common Diaz. You got a lot of Diaz and Motor T for some reason. How come there's no McDaniels in Motor T?
We had a McDaniel.
Okay, but he's the exception. He's the exception.
We were a group of misfits for sure.
Really? Okay.
Guys coming from Okinawa. I'm not going to name his name, but I had served with this guy for a couple years before I realized once we got on a personal level, he's like, yeah, bro, it was either prison time for me or Marine Corps. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, yeah, I was doing some work across the border, and that's all I'm going to say on that.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he's going to see this too, but just one of the most genuine, sweet guys.
Yeah.
And
as long as you don't fall, and you think I'm pretty sure that without us knowing, we've talked here specifically here in California on a weekly basis. We probably talk to one or two cartel guys, random interactions that we talk to, and you'll be like, oh man, that dude's cool. Dude, cartel people, they're fucking heartless, but they won't fuck with you unless you fuck with them. That's just the reality of it.
It's a respect thing.
Yeah, dude. If you don't fuck with them and you're cool, I can probably tell you, without me actually knowing, there's probably people like that in the gym that I go to, and I'm like, hey, what's up, dude? We're cool.
It's like the entrepreneur world. It's like, if you're performing at a certain level, you're not going to stoop down to attack somebody else that's trying to.
Exactly.
You've got your own.
Yeah.
You've got your own.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of putting it. Okay, so fast forward. Did you do any deployments?
I deployed to Kuwait.
Okay.
I bounced back and forth to Iraq a couple times on the plane.
Okay.
Just delivering parts, but good old Al Jabber.
Al Jabber's nice.
And that's when they were building the pool, and I was actually the first person.
We were not able to go to the pool because of COVID. Oh, I was stationed. I was there for a 9-month deployment with the SP MACTAF, and we couldn't go on the pool because of COVID. I went right as COVID was happening.
You're like, don't you put chlorine in this thing?
I know, but
I ate at a sushi restaurant.
Right. We couldn't go.
I ate at a sushi restaurant during COVID. They came out with paper plates and silverware, and my everything was $100-something, and I'm like, question for you guys, why isn't this where's chopsticks? Where's the glass plates? Because of COVID. I'm like, oh, so you guys don't wash your dishes? And they're like, it's like everyone just lost.
They were taking advantage of it. I guarantee you they were taking advantage of it. Okay, so you deployed to Kuwait.
Yep.
You went to Iraq. Was that your own? Was that your only deployment? And how was that experience?
That was my only deployment. That experience was probably the highlight of my Marine Corps career.
Why so?
I met and got to know on a personal level. Even to this day, these guys are some of my best friends. They were with Suicide Charlie. And we hit the gym hard. We trained hard. I knew that when I got back, I wanted to go out for ANS, assessment and selection for MARSOC. and I was attached to security forces with the Air Force while I was there. So instead of being stuck outside under a canopy working on vehicles in the sand, I was fortunate enough to be in an element where I could thrive, and I did. And I was in charge of driving the MRAP or the MAT V. The MRAP that I got to drive was a 6x, so 3 axles, and man, just everywhere I went, just pedal to the floor. We were just cruising around, just mobbing.
It's pretty cool. Those ranges over there, and you guys specifically in the infantry, you guys get to shoot out there a lot. You guys get to do. I don't know if you guys did. I know my guys did.
No, we didn't actually get to shoot out there. When I ran the sniper and dock when I was out there. I don't know. Should I go into that a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
So I had finished up with security forces, and I got called back to the shop, and I'm in the office, and I remember I was looking at my TSP for the first time. I didn't even know that I had a TSP going. I had like 4 or 5.
Where you look at it?
I had no idea. Oh, on the computer.
No, I know, but what website did you go on?
Oh, I have no idea. What I do know is that as soon as I saw a comma in there, I was like, withdraw. Take it out. God. I didn't come for money, brother. So, no financial stability. Maybe we can talk about that after. I took that money right out and was like, not to mention, I did file for divorce 2 weeks before I left for the deployment. Huge mistake because when I had came back, they had taken $14,000 from me. So that set me up for success. But backtracking, I was in the shop looking at my TSP. Lieutenant enters the phone, and I just hear him talking, and he goes, "Hey, Martinez, you wanna go get your dick smashed into the dirt?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "The snipers are running an in-dock." And I was like, yeah, I do.
That's pretty cool.
Get me out of this place, And I had been running a little bit. I'd been training, lifting weights. And so they're like, okay. They're like, it was like in 3 days we're going to do it. So I printed out the packing list, and that was the hardest part for me, is just packing all this shit. Just like, dang, man, this is so much stuff. And of course, if you show up without something, it's a problem.
Yeah.
So I remember there was 35 of us. I was the only non-infantry guy out of 35 guys, and I had been doing a little bit of jiu-jitsu when I was over there. So I had developed, from the lack of cleanliness on the mats, like a little bit of a facial fungus.
Okay.
And so I had to grow out some facial hair a little bit. So I've got long hair, a little bit of facial hair, and I show up, and these guys are like, "Who is this dude?" And I mean, I just knew I was a target, especially being the only non-03. And first things first, it was like 04:30 in the morning. We start doing pull-ups, and we do we lay out all our gear, get our gear inspected, and I'm pretty sure only the senior drill instructor, the chief scout. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I'm pretty sure he was the only one that knew, aside from some of the other cadre. But otherwise, I mean, we ended up finishing after a few days.
Do you get your rank stripped and all that stuff, or do you still get to put your rank on and things like that?
No,
because how those in-docks are, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone, it's just simply last names, no ranks or no nothing.
Yeah, it's A&S is the only place where you replace your name tape with a candidate number.
Okay, gotcha.
But as far as the in-dock goes, no rank. And I mean, you're doing so much physical stuff. It's like it would, anyways. But they don't want you to associate with that or think about that. It doesn't matter. Gotcha. And went through it for a few days. We were supposed to do like a 12-mile ruck run on one of the last days as a culminating event to the range, shoot the M110 SAS, stuff like that. And the range was occupied by Kuwaitis, so we weren't able to do that. But I remember.
Did you pass it?
Yeah, I passed.
Oh, nice.
And 11 of us finished. 6 of us got picked. And I was one of the people that was called in, and I was in front of a board of the cadre, and they were like, "Look, we would love to have you, but you're motor T. Like, I think what had happened was they didn't think that I was gonna perform, and that I, just another guy trying to get out of a situation, and so they had
that's fucking shitty.
they had strongly encouraged that I had good ANS, and so I was like, yeah, I've been considering it, but it's one of those things. It's like if you go and you try for something, you give it 110%, and you pass, it's like, but then they're like, hey, sorry, like this would take the commanding general's signature. This would take.
So
like,
what?
I was at that point becoming one of the seniors. I had picked up corporal on deployment. The only way I would have picked up corporal, they wouldn't have let me back in the States.
Oh.
I was like, look, you guys, like, I would love to be a part of this team. Like the small team, the small unit cohesion stuff. Like that's what I was about. And I found that in the sniper section. And
Okay, so I do have a question, right? Because you mentioned ANS a couple of times,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so safe to assume, but I don't want to assume. I want to ask you. You didn't like Mortar T
no,
at all.
I loved driving. To this
Okay.
day, I love anything with a steering wheel.
Okay, so but you were a mechanic.
Sure.
Okay, so you were Mortar T. You didn't like your job. You were trying to go to ANS. What happened? Why didn't you end up going to ANS?
So I did.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I ended up going. It actually took 3 separate times for me to leave. The first time it was between myself and chain of command. We just fell behind on paperwork. The second time when I was in Kuwait after the NDOC, I was playing soccer PT with a bunch of guys. Had my ankle like chopped, and I think you can see that bone.
Oh man.
So it healed out of place. They were like, "Oh, suck it up, like get your boot on." Blah blah. It was just like they didn't take me. I wasn't able to go get X-rays or anything like that, and so it just healed that way. And right there, I was like, "Great, soccer is probably over." And I was playing for the 29 Palms base team at the time.
Oh, so you're good with soccer? Okay, got you.
And so, and then the third time at the shop, there was one day where I just lost vision in one of my eyes. Like all of a sudden, I was working on the bottom of a truck. I was dehydrated. There was a lot of light. That's what it came down to. But I was diagnosed with what's called migraine with aura. And essentially what it is there's like this huge migraine coming on, which I then lose vision in one of my eyes. And that disqualified me from all special operations. And I had to go to Camp Pendleton Naval Hospital, get it cleared. I was like pleading with the doctor. I was like, look, like I have to go do this. You don't understand. Like if I don't, I'll regret it for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And the last thing that had happened was we had gotten back from deployment, and me and the guys went out in 29 Palms. You know the bowling alley out there? Mm-hmm. We all went to go celebrate. And
that you guys got back?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was that night, there was an incident where one of our buddies was just, his demons were just coming out, and getting him back to base was a mission. And getting him back to base, and we've all been drinking. And there was this guy, tall, probably 6'3" guy in the parking lot, had been drinking too. He was coming up and he's like, "Hey, what's going on over here?" And we're like, "Hey man, like look, our buddy," we explained, our buddy's having a hard time.
Was he a Marine?
I would then find out that he was.
Okay.
So he then trying to get in the car, like pushing our buddy into the car, and I'm like, "Hey man, like we got this." And then it became confrontational, where he's grabbing my other friend, and I'm like, "Hey man," like to separate them. And that buddy that he was messing with, he was a scrapper. And I'm like, "Dude, we can't get into this." And this guy grabs my shirt, and I tried to break it once, and I just couldn't. So I threw a left haymaker, and it just took one, and he fell like a tree. And we got back to base, and it was the very next day I'd gotten, word had already spread that there was a staff sergeant from the comm school that had been knocked out in town that was at the Naval Hospital from swelling in the back of his head. And I just felt like the worst person in the world.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was only trying to protect my friends in the situation and to get back to base without any incidents, and here I am.
Well, that's what I'm gonna say something real quick to the camera, okay? Um, that's what happens when you don't mind your fucking business. First of all, okay. As a staff NCO, I get it, right? It's like, oh man, like we just want to make sure. But just because you're a staff NCO does not give you the right to treat other people, specifically when you're out of town, like they are Marines. I know you can probably tell that they were Marines. I know you can probably tell that they were drinking and they were probably not making the right decisions. That is why you need to take a humble pill. You need to humble yourselves and actually be part of the solution and not be part of the problem. Because if you start grabbing people wrong, your ass is going to get knocked the fuck out like it happened to your dumbass staff sergeant, okay? So that's what I'm going to say, man, because I see that all the time. Like staff NCOs with big attitudes and think that just because they get involved, that it's going to be their way, specifically out in town. I might have some leeway whenever it comes to like on base type stuff, you know, but specifically out in town.
Right.
Because you can tell when you have a Marine. Okay, you got the haircut. They're clean shaven. You can tell that they're a little bit in shape, you know, like, or very in shape, if that matter. You can't just simply be assuming and be talking to people. Even if you ask them, even if you ask somebody, hey, are you a Marine and you're out in town? They're not obliged to fucking tell you. You ain't the fucking police. You see what I'm saying? Like, just know that because your dumbass got knocked the fuck out for good, solid reason. Brother, I am going to end it here because I know that we're getting to the spicy stuff now.
Yeah.
I want to hear all the spicy stories that you got because I know you probably specifically out there being in 29 Palms, you probably seen some shit.
Yeah.
And probably more than Liz. Well, and we all know you seen shit because there's Lake Bendini right there. But I'm talking about like the real top stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So I definitely want to talk more about it. We're definitely gonna get into your company because from what I hear, dude, let's think about this, right? Let's go chronological record. From Florida to being in MCT, finding out that you're going to be a job that you really didn't want to do, to going to 29 Pumps, the belly button of hell, and then from there, go on deployment, wanting to go to ANS. There's nothing here that screams like, oh, well, yeah, you know, I wanted to do my entrepreneur career and I was setting myself up for success while I was in.
Yeah.
That's what I really want to get into.
Okay.
That's what I really want to get into
Yeah.
the next episode. So, guys, make sure that you guys like, follow, subscribe, hit that notification bell button so that we get all the most up-to-date content that we put out. Leave a comment. What do you think about the first 4 years? Do you relate with the first 4 years of Rob Martinez here? Let us know. Rob, where can people reach out to you at?
On all social platforms, All Clear Gear, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok.
All right, perfect, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.